Sam Black, Cedric Phillips here, round 10, GP Atlanta, Maria Bartholdi in the booth with Marshall Sutcliffe settling in for the first round of draft here on day 2. Sam Black sitting 8-0-1, Cedric Phillips at 8-1. Sam Black's going to start things off, Minister of Inquiries, getting 2 energy. Yeah, not something we've seen before, at least not yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you what, I like Cedric's side of the equation here with the gear shift ace on turn 2. But, this blue-green energy deck is capable of doing very powerful things with energy, and I'm really curious to see what Sam's come up with. I would assume that Minister of Inquiries is not the end game for him, though who knows.
Prophetic Prism from Sam. I don't think his game is milling Cedric out.
It could be.
But I
would
guess
doubt
you
it
never
too,
know.
yeah. But it's a slow start for him. Cedric is going to read what Minister of Inquiries does and then go attack. Don't care about that.
Yeah, he's going to get in there with the gear shift ace, 2-power first striker. He has red. He's showing red-white. Could be a very aggressive deck. Weld Fast Monitor is a play for Cedric. 3-2 Menace if you pay a red mana.
Yeah, he drafted he played a deck yesterday that was quite aggressive as well and sealed. It was red-black did Cedric.
Samuel has Cedric Mill.
Indeed. Maybe that is his plan.
Yeah. Now showing 3 colors.
Yeah, and in some ways 5.
Right. Well, we can already see that maybe we're talking about the scenario we alluded to earlier, Marshall, where one deck is kind of doing some more interesting, silly things, and another deck is straightforward, aggressive.
That is definitely the case here. Yeah, looks
Sam tapping 3, Dynavolt Tower.
Yeah, Sam went really deep here. This is
go.
so cool, Maria, because we are getting to see exactly what you just described, which is the discussion that you and I just had leading into the round was a lot of the players in the format want to be just straight up aggressive, and a lot of them want to do cute, cool stuff. And we can see exactly that Sam has decided to draft an energy deck here around Dynavolt Tower, where Cedric Phillips is not messing around.
Nope.
And he is attacking for 8. Now, I mentioned at the onset that I would prefer to be in Cedric's seat, being the aggressive player rather than the one doing the cute stuff at this point in the format.
Yeah.
Because I want to know more about which clever decks are good.
Right.
Right? Like this. This is an energy deck that he's splashing for 2 Cloud Blazers in, for example.
Is he?
Yeah, he's blue-green energy with 2 Imperial Voyagers as his gold cards, but then he's also splashing again for the 2 Cloud Blazers. Yeah, let's see what else he's got here.
Well, he's got 5 energy now, playing a tune with Ether. Dynavolt Tower makes great use of energy. For 5 energy, you can tap it and deal 3 to target creature or player. You can see it there on your screen when it comes into play. Or, sorry, when you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you also get 2 energy.
Yeah, Sam's actually playing 4 colors here.
Wow.
He's got a Skywhaler Shot and a Harness Lightning in the deck, as well as the blue-green base.
Well, blue-green base is probably where you want to be if you're splashing all those colors.
Agreed. Yeah, he does have a lightning bolt saved up here on the tower.
Yep, he's going to use it on the Weld Fast Monitor. Take it down. No more energy at the moment. Highspire Artisan choosing to fabricate, put the counter on itself to make it a 1/4 with reach.
That's a really good blocker here. It currently is holding back Cedric's board.
Yeah.
As an attack with only the Iron League steed would just get blocked by the 1/4. An attack with both would let the steed through, but the Gear Shift Ace would get gobbled up by the Highspire Artisan. So precarious, but he has stabilized here.
And it's interesting. Cards like Highspire Artisan normally aren't very exciting, but what they can do is certainly block a lot of the aggressive strategies that we're talking about. At least right now, couldn't deal with Pain Train, but
indeed. This is a critical turn here for Cedric.
All right, Wayward Giant for Cedric.
It's decent.
Yep, 4/5 Menace.
And this is also an important turn for Sam here, Maria, because Sam is now out of energy. He has nothing going on the Dynavolt Tower, The Minister of Inquiries is no longer milling Cedric as a potential long-term win condition or anything like that either. And really, all Sam has, it looks like he's got a fairly well-built board, but in honesty, all he has is a 1-4 and a 1-2 going right now.
Right.
So this is a prime turn for him to play one of his splash cards like a Cloud Blazer and really start getting back on board. We'll see if he can do that.
Wow, it looks like he has an electrostatic pummeler in his hand
He
as well.
did go deep, didn't he?
He sure did. That's when you're really committed. I saw a screenshot of somebody on Magic Online attacking with that as a 24-24 on turn 4 or something like that.
Yeah, I got a screenshot sent to me on Twitter, and it was 49,000 and change was its power and toughness.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Wish it had trample.
My opponent, or the player had something like 40 energy.
It's ridiculous.
And pumped the thing up and then dumped all of it into it.
It's useful for me, for someone like me. There we can get a look at Electrostatic Pummeler. It's just a 1/1 for 3. When it enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy, pay 3, and it gets +X until end of turn, where X is its power.
Yeah. So the trick, of course, is to pump it up first, make it like a 4/4.
Right.
And then pay it, and now it's an 8/8. And if you can do it twice, it becomes a 16/16. And next thing you know, your opponent's dead. Like you said, though, the trample is really sort of the missing part of the equation, so you really do hope that the card that you target it with, maybe larger than life, something like that,
Right.
gives it trample. Or flying or whatever. This is a big turn for Sam.
Yeah, he has to show that he has the ability to make something happen here other than just playing his blockers.
Yeah, he's going to play a Wild Wanderer, it looks like. No? Something else? What do you got, Sam?
He appears to have another Minister of Inquiries in hand as well, so that is another way to get some energy. Yeah, Wild Wanderer is going to be the play for Sam. He's going to go find a basic land, put it onto the battlefield. 3/2. It's interesting for somebody like me to watch how Sam builds these kinds of decks, because I'm not so used to building decks that kind of do something a little more strange and not as straightforward. So how he values cards like Wild Wanderer, for example, or High Spire Artisan, or even in this case, Minister of Inquiries, to further his game plan for this specific deck is really interesting.
Little subtle interaction here as well from Sam. He's got an island, and we know that he's splashing for white, but he doesn't actually need to get the planes that he has in his deck because he has a Prophetic Prism, so he can keep that information hidden.
Right.
So if he has like a Sky Whaler shot at some point, Cedric won't expect that coming.
Right. Passes the turn back to Cedric.
Now Cedric finally does have attacks. He can attack with the Wayward Giant, though Sam now has double blocks for the Menace creatures lined up. Or in this case, a triple block, probably.
If Cedric's able to cast a vehicle, it would be pretty good for him, especially since he has the Gear Shift Ace in play. How inclined are you, Marshall, just to attack in to get rid of any of those blockers that Sam has back?
Yeah, I mean, it's so dependent on what Cedric actually has in his hand as far as combat tricks, removal spells. You know, if he could try to set up a 2-for-1, that would be really nice. You know, for example, if Sam were to block with all 3 creatures, putting 5 power in front of the 5 toughness Wayward Giant, and Cedric had the ability to kill the Wild Wanderer, he could stack block so that he would also take out the High Spire Artisan and potentially open the floodgates for future attacks. If he doesn't have that, then he's looking at trading off for either the High Spire Artisan or the Wanderer, or even any one of the creatures, basically, which is significantly less exciting. I guess he could take out both the Minister of Inquiries and the Wild Wanderer if there was a triple block, and he'd probably be pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Also, Sam's completely tapped out, so Cedric does have perfect information about what could happen in this scenario. We also have to keep in mind that Cedric has the Iron League steed there as well, and he could consider attacking with both of his big creatures and offering a trade Iron League steed for Wild Wanderer, but that would have the giant get in. And it looks like he's also going to ship in with the Gear Shift Ace here as well.
Yeah, he sends them all into the red zone.
And it's a pretty easy block here for Sam Black. And a big attack from Cedric there. Getting in for 4 damage. He gave up a lot of his board to do it, and now you can see why.
Yep.
Cedric
Sky Swirl Harrier.
Yeah, and that's a 3-powered flyer, which means that in 2 turns, he can win the game. Now, it's a little bit tough for him because the High Spire Artisan's still sitting down there. He will need to find a way to get through that.
There comes the Electrostatic Pummeler as well as Decoction Module from Sam Black. Here's a look at Decoction Module. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get an energy for tap it, return target creature you control to its owner's hand, so you can kind of loop energy, which is very important in Sam's deck because he now has 7 energy.
This is
playing another Minister of Inquiries.
This is so funny that this just mirrors our conversation so beautifully.
Yeah.
We really get to see the 2 different styles that seem to be prevalent in this set go at each other here. A much more streamlined beatdown deck versus nonsense from Sam Black. I mean, Decoction Modules and Minister of Inquiries and all this cool stuff. Yeah.
Well, Cedric's now got a, he needs to respect that electrostatic pummeler from Sam Black.
He does.
At least have something to throw in front of it, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine from Cedric's perspective that thing could get really out of hand. Like, I mean, Sam's capable of anything, but it is tough to find room in a deck like this for a card like Larger Than Life.
Right.
It's not that you couldn't. It's just, when you're playing cards like Dynavolt Tower and Decoction Module and Prophetic Prism, those are all taking slots. Like, he's still going to run 40 cards, and it's really tough to find room for cards like Larger Than Life just for that one combo. And that's really one of the only ways that Sam's going to just outright die. Or, Cedric would outright die.
Yeah, he wants to deal with that electrostatic pummeler. Revoking its privileges can no longer attack, block, or crew vehicles.
Interesting.
Yeah, not the High Spire Artisan.
I would have expected Cedric to put the revoke on the High Spire Artisan attack and say, okay,
right,
I've got a turn here.
You need to have something or you're dead.
That's what I would have expected to have the play there, especially given the attack that we saw from Cedric last turn, where his Gear Shift Ace died.
Right.
Just to get in for an extra 4 damage. Cedric showing a lot of respect for that.
Yes, he is.
Pummeler.
Might indicate that he didn't have any creatures he wanted to play out of his hand, left back to block it, was just too scared. I don't blame him.
Yeah, Sam does have 2 activations of it in the bank here, but
he's going to get in with the Giant and the Sky Swirl Harrier.
And it looks like Sam does not want to double block and throw away both Minister of Inquiry, so it's just going to be 4 damage here from Cedric. Now, that's not bad, though.
No, follow-up play.
Speedway
Fanatic. 2-1 with haste. Gives vehicles a cruise haste.
Yeah, this was the other downside to not locking up the High Spire Artisan here, is that Sam gets to use his Dynavolt Tower to finish off the flyer there. The Decoction Module, obviously awkward.
Yeah.
From Cedric's perspective, just because he's looking down at a revoke privileges and kind of thinking to himself, well, I can tie up a bunch of Sam's mana here, but ultimately, whatever creature I put this on is going to end up back on the battlefield at some point.
Yeah, the loss of that Sky Swirl Harrier is pretty big for Cedric.
Yeah, it's depending on what's in his hand. I'm going to look at Cedric's deck. He also could have Chandra's Pyrohelix to just finish the game, maybe in his deck somewhere. He does not. He's got 3 copies of Welding Sparks, but unfortunately for him, that doesn't actually hit players.
No. Sam just is going to pass the turn back.
Can Cedric get this last 2 points in?
Yeah. Sam's got some blockers back on defense, so 2 ground creatures for Cedric at the moment. Pseudo evasion with menace for one of them.
Ooh, 5-drop?
Yeah, looks like it. Only 2 energy for Sam currently.
Yeah, he used a bunch of it, the 5 of it from the Dynavolt Tower last turn. Though he does have a play where he can return the electrostatic pummeler to his hand and then replay it next turn, and that would give him 3 energy just from the pummeler itself, plus an additional from the decoction module.
Cedric's also got to be careful playing into Sam's 6 open mana.
And 2 cards in hand.
Yeah. Whenever I see a couple of islands untapped on the other side of the battlefield when I'm about to cast my 5-drop, I'm a little wary.
Indeed.
Wayward Giant entering the red zone. Sam's going to double block.
And Cedric is going to take down the High Spire Artisan, and it looks like Sam's just going to let that happen.
I'd be happy to get the High Spire Artisan off the battlefield, I think.
Yeah, Sam can get some instant speed energy here, get that energy count from 2 to 5. He could finish off the Giant with the Dynavolt Tower as well.
Looks like Glint Sleeve Artisan is the play from Cedric. Glimmer of Genius for Sam, getting 2 more energy, scrying 2, and drawing 2 cards. Oh, there's a Cloud Blazer.
Yeah, so he's actually up to 6 energy now. And that is going to let him finish off the Giant.
Yep, and he does. Drops him back down to 1 energy. It would be really interesting to see if Sam could pull back out of this game. Here comes the Prophetic Prism to play the Cloud Blazer. Wow.
Here we go. So this is probably the turning point here. You know, the last couple of turns have been real close.
Right.
About who was going to do what, but not this one. Cloud Blazer to stabilize Sam Black's life total and board and set up decoction module to kind of go off.
Right.
He can pay 4 mana and tap it to return target creature he controls to his owner's hand. And that means he can just start replaying the Cloud Blazer, assuming he has enough time to do so, and just completely dominate this game. Ooh, Ballista Charger.
Ballista Charger.
He can give that haste, too. Ooh.
So Ballista Charger, a 6/6, then when it attacks, deals 1 to target creature or player, crew cost of 3.
That's a nice rip there from Cedric. He can use the Speedway Fanatic and the Servo
Yep.
to crunch in for a bunch here and really force a block.
He's going to crew.
Cedric's considering if he wants to attack with Glint Sleeve Artisan or not. He also decide what he has to decide what he wants to ping.
Right. All right, they're both getting in.
And he's just going to go upstairs
Big
with
Sam,
it. Yeah.
Select for inspection. Returns the Ballista Charger to Cedric's hand. Scry to the bottom.
Yeah, that's a pretty big blowout.
Yep.
Now Sam can just double block the glint sleeve, lose one of his pesky Minister of Inquiries.
And he's going to mill.
Oh, man. He milled his Ether Storm Rock right off the top, too. Oh, man. Cedric was just about to draw that card. Brutal.
Has to pass back. I believe when there's a look at Ether Storm Rock. Just a great card. 3/3 for 4 flying.
Looks a little worse in the graveyard, doesn't it?
Sure does. Another card I noticed in Cedric's graveyard off of one of the mills was Authority of the Consuls, which is an interesting card, but could be quite handy in Cedric's deck as it causes Sam's creatures to enter the battlefield tapped, and every time he plays one, Cedric gains a life. And he's going to mill him again.
I've yet to see that card in play.
Yeah, there it is. Minister of Inquiry is an interesting card that sometimes you've got to wonder, is it like Thriving Turtle? You just play it because you want the energy. It doesn't really do too much on its own. Another Wild Wanderer from Sam to go grab a land and thin out his deck. There's that Plains. Might as well show it now.
Yeah.
Ticking his way up on more energy as well. It's really a testament to how patient of a player Sam is. Just sit back and let his deck do its thing.
It does seem to be doing that at this point. He's generated so much mana. Now he can start returning the Cloud Blazer to his hand using the Decoction module. And it's hard to imagine Cedric Phillips coming back from that without drawing something pretty spectacular.
Right.
This is kind of the turn. We know he's got the Ballista Charger in his hand, so he can get Sam down to 2. But Sam has just enough blockers. He's got 3 creatures out that can block.
Looks like he might be going for it again.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just really tough because he can play it.
Oh, Disappearing Act. From
Oh,
Sam.
my God.
Oh. So he has to return a permanent he controls to his hand in order to cast it. Just counters the Ballista Charger.
Now, where did Sam get that energy from? What did I miss here? Is it the Dynavolt Tower? Yeah, that must be it. Cool.
Yeah, Dynavolt Tower is going to shoot the Speedway Fanatic.
Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you get 2 energy, so that's where he picked up that from.
Nice.
Goodness sakes. Yeah, this is getting pretty disgusting. I mean, Sam's at 3 life here, but it's hard to imagine him losing the game from this point. He's going to jump up to 5
Blazer
now.
again.
Yeah. Well,
Cedric's
I
only
believe
got a
we've turned the
servo.
corner here.
Yep, sure have. Wow. Imperial Voyager is the play from Sam.
Goodness sakes.
2/3 flying trampler. You get energy. Whenever it deals combat damage, you get that much energy.
So which side would you rather be on right now, Maria?
I'm going to go with Sam's side. This is, I mean, it's so interesting, Marshall. We were talking about this exact situation before we saw this draft. And here we get to see it play out.
We do. Yeah, we're going to get 2 more games, or at least 1 more game of this as well.
Thriving Ibex from Cedric is going to get, shot down, and he's just going to scoop him up.
Yeah, so what happened there is Sam activated Minister of Inquiries, and Cedric, seeing the writing on the wall, figured, I'd rather just not show you any more cards from my library, even though that didn't actually kill him. And he would prefer to just concede, which makes a lot of sense strategically, because you don't want to let Sam Black know the cards in your deck so that he may be able to sideboard better against you. And the chances of Cedric winning that game were like less than 1%.
Very low.
And he knows what's in his deck as well. So, you know, it makes sense for him to concede there, even though it looks a little weird.
Yeah, at 20 life.
20, yeah. But
sometimes it makes sense. Yeah, Sam Black takes game 1. Wow, what an interesting deck,
Yeah,
too.
this is just so cool. We're so lucky that we get to see this matchup. Two great players going against each other, and on top of it, both players taking such a polar opposite approach to the booster draft portion here, with Cedric just on this lean, mean beatdown machine, and
Yeah.
Sam Black on this crazy energy Dynavolt Tower decoction module deck with these Minister of Inquiries.
We're going to take a look in at Chris Fennell versus Mason King here in our feature match area. We can see Chris playing blue-white, Mason on black-green. Both decks doing what they sort of purport to be doing. Oh! There's a scoop. Looked like Chris took it.
Yeah, it does look like that. I couldn't quite tell based on the board, but they're going to their sideboards, and that was game 2, so Fennell being down a game has just evened things up.
Yeah, I was about to say it looks like Chris's deck was what you would expect from blue-white. It's getting in there some flyers, and Mason's deck, a lot of counters on some black and green creatures, which seems to be what black and green wants to do in this format. Is Sam Black's deck encouraging you to go deep on Dynavolt Tower sometime, Marshall?
Yeah, maybe. I've so far haven't been super impressed by Dynavolt Tower, but I do feel like it's the type of card that you can build around to make it work, right? You know, the first lightning bolt you get off of it is pretty good, but you have to work for it.
Right.
But when you get a second one, now you're talking business. Like you're kind of doing it,
now
right?
it's
You've
worth
killed
it.
2 creatures, and you're probably in a pretty good position. The real X factor with Dynavolt Tower is how many instants and sorceries can you actually run? Because if you can use those instants and sorceries to pile up a bunch of counters on it, then you're much, much more likely to get that second activation. If you're waiting for your thriving creatures to add those last few counters on, or you don't have some sort of repeatable energy gain, Dynavolt Tower really doesn't hold up its end of the bargain.
It's a good sign of a healthy format if decks like Cedric's and decks like Sam's are both able to exist and be equally viable. And we saw Cedric's sealed build yesterday was also aggressive, and it got the job done, sitting here at 8-1 today. We'll see if he can turn it around, and now that he knows Sam's plan, more actively push in for damage early, try and put Sam even on even more of the back foot than he did the first game. Did you say he had 3 copies of Welding Sparks?
Indeed.
That's one of my favorite commons so far in the set.
Yeah, he would have liked to have seen one of those. I did mention at the beginning which side of the equation would I rather be on, and I said I'd rather be on Cedric's side. Yeah, of this matchup, and I stand by that. I do still think that Cedric is a favorite here. I think that if he has a decent curve out, there's not much Sam can do, and Cedric can really punish him for playing those low impact early game cards. That said, we did see the power of Sam Black's list here and the way that it can play out. So you got to have respect for that type of deck, and I think that that's certainly the more fun thing to do, by the way. Like, if I was going to fire up a booster draft, I'd much rather have Sam's deck.
Yeah.
You know.
We're going to take a look again while our players are still sideboarding at Chris versus Mason. A Sky Skiff on the board for Mason at the moment, a pair of Inventor's Goggles for Christopher Fennell. Architect of the Untamed is the play for Mason. He's going to crew the Sky Skiff and get in. Architect of the Untamed, a very powerful card. Every time you play a land, you get an energy. You can pay 8 energy to make a 6/6 beast.
You know the beast is an artifact, too?
Yeah. Here comes Propeller Pioneer for Christopher Fennell. Automatically gets some goggles, just for free.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's a big play there for Fennell. He's really stabilized his board here. Sky Skiff is now blanked.
Mason's still going to crew.
He crewed the skiff? Oh, he's going to put a counter on it, sure.
Got an energy, puts a counter on it. thanks to fabrication module. Every time you get an energy, you may give a creature a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah, he's got a kind of a neat little engine going here.
Sure does.
Landfall, make an energy, get a +1/+1 counter is kind of insane.
Snare Thopter from Chris.
You like that one.
I do like Snare Thopter.
That's
3/2 flying haste. Sign me up.
one of your favorite robots.
It is. Looks like it's gonna get taken down by Appetite for the Unnatural.
Or is it?
Oh, select from inspection. Returns it to Chris's hand.
He's going to scry. There we go.
You will not be eating my Thopter today, sir. There's a monkey on Appetite for the Unnatural. It looks Marshall. Bottom's a card. And passes back.
These are two of our undefeated players, Maria.
Yeah. Starting day 2, 9-0.
Neglected to lose. I think there were 5 of them.
All right, we're going to go back to our first match. Sam Black versus Cedric Phillips. Era of Innovation is
But
the play from
no
Sam.
2-drop from Seti, though.
Herald of the Fair is going to be his 3-drop. Not able to pump anything. Sam just has to pass the turn back. Cedric's going to get in. No play on 4. Here, take a look at Era of Innovation. Whenever an artifact or an artificer enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, you get 2 energy. Pay 6, sacrifice it, draw 3 cards. Welding Sparks takes down Imperial Voyager. Cedric gets in there with Herald of the Fair for 3.
Oh,
Plays
this is
a Wayward
big.
Giant. Yeah, he's just putting on the pressure in a big way.
Yeah, he really is. And this is where, you know, a stumble from Sam Black on mana development here is really going to punish him, because Cedric, even with a really slow start here, you know, a 3-drop, a 3-drop on turn 4, and then a 5-drop, you know, is not the ideal aggro curve. You know, you want to go 2-drop, 3-drop, and have 5 power out here. But, you know, instead now the cards in Sam's deck, like Dynavolt Tower and such, just look like a huge liability, because Cedric just gets to slam in there for a bunch of damage. Now, if Sam has, for example, his Skywhaler shot, he has a really good shot of getting
Impeccable
the board
timing.
down.
Takes down Herald.
It's decent.
But yeah, you're right. Playing Era of Innovation against a deck like Cedric's doesn't feel great on turn 2.
Yeah, and Era of Innovation is only the beginning of the cards in Sam's deck that just look miserable at this point. Decoction module coming down doesn't look good, right? Any of the little 1/2s don't look good. This looks okay. Like Cloud Blazer's decent here, but it's not that good. Look at the board.
Right. Can't block.
10 power plus a ping. Like, Sam's just simply going to need to find answers for these creatures very, very, very quickly.
Another threat, Sky Swirl Harrier.
This is going to
It's going to crew.
And then go upstairs with the ping. And this is going to force a chump block here, because that is not quite lethal. Actually, it would put him to 1, but
yeah,
it is effectively lethal, as Cedric attacking next turn would have been lethal. And all you'd have to do is turn that Ballista Charger sideways. Well, we're getting the full gamut here.
We sure are.
In Kaladesh, we got to see Cedric off to a pretty decent start in game 1 and get Sam really down low and not quite able to finish him off, and then Sam do shenanigans and force Cedric to concede at 20.
At 20.
So we got that into the spectrum, and now we're getting a different look at it, where Cedric is the one who's just running over Sam Black here with abandon.
All right, he has to play a Minister of Inquiries and pass.
He must have a Skywhaler shot then, because I saw he's got his other Cloud Blazer in hand, and he's declined to play it. Man, this would be a sick comeback if Sam could make it.
It certainly would. Skywhaler's shot, destroy target creature with power 3 or greater, scry 1.
I would never shoot a Skywhale for what it's worth.
Oh, me either. I also wouldn't fumigate any gremlins.
Oh, I would. I've already done that. They're a menace.
I think we're going to have to agree to disagree here, Marshall.
We could just stick with the whole sky whale love thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Cedric looks to be probably a little wary what Sam's got up his sleeve.
He is.
Yep. So there's comes Skywaller's shot on the Wayward Giant. Cedric's like, fine, take 3.
Clever play there from Cedric, though, not opening the door. He really wishes he had something that he could play to crew up that Ballista Charger that turn and still make that Sam attack. That would have been ideal for him. But as it stands, he's going to have to settle with getting Sam down to 4.
Prophetic Prism the draw.
It's not what he wants to see.
Nope.
You know, he's got counter spells and prophetic prisms, and he's just going to have to settle for a Cloud Blazer, which is pretty good.
Back up to 6.
But
2.
if he doesn't have a 1-drop, he's going to be forced to chump again.
He has Select for inspection.
In his hand?
Yep.
Oh, that's business. All right, all right.
There it is. Return target tap creature to its owner's hand. Scry 1.
Uh-oh.
Welding Sparks. Deals X damage to target creature, where X is the number of artifacts you control, plus 3.
Yeah, so 4 in this case. Now, it depends on what Cedric has in his hand, what he wants to do here. He may as well just crew up the Charger and attack, even if it were to get bounced. He's going to have to pay 5 mana either way, and having his flyer tapped doesn't really change anything anyway.
Right.
This also guarantees that he gets in for that 1 point, which could certainly matter.
Yeah, he's just going to attack with the Sky Swirl Harrier.
Okay, well, that's not lethal, meaning that Sam just doesn't have to do anything about it.
Yeah, forced to bounce the Harrier.
Well, but he took the damage
yeah,
first, though.
He did.
So he really wanted to make sure that he stranded that Harrier in Cedric's hand. He could bounce it before.
Yep.
And not take any damage that turn, but then Cedric gets to use up his mana and replay it. So it's a little bit of a gamble by Sam, hoping that Cedric didn't have something else big to play. And it's a safe one, because he probably would have played it the turn prior had he had it. Now, he did leave up mana for Welding Sparks, but since he could have played like a 5-drop untapped and then just played Welding Sparks anyway, it's pretty safe to assume that he doesn't have some big play.
Prophetic Prism is a play from Sam.
And then he's going to get energy from the Era of Innovation, and looks like he's just going to draw 3 right now. Whenever an artifact or artificer enters the battlefield, you can get those energy for the Era. And then he's got to pay 6 energy and sack it to draw 3, which is pretty good.
Build your own Ancestral Recall.
Indeed. It's just a matter of what can Sam actually find.
I think he found a bunch of lands.
Yeah, well, he's got that counter spell, and I think what his plan here is to try to counter the flyer on the way back down and strand the Ballista Charger as a card that you cannot, that can't be crewed unless Cedric has another 3-mana or 3-powered creature in his hand. And
yeah, there you see it.
That's what happened. And Cedric's out of gas.
Back.
Sam's flooding a little.
He does have some action in his hand, though. There's another. Oh, there's a Prophetic Prism.
There's a tower.
Dynavolt Tower.
Doesn't look great, though. Cedric just desperate for any 3-powered creature. It would not win him the game on the spot, but it would get him close.
There comes the tower. Sam
these
passes it
games
back.
have been so sweet.
Ooh.
Cedric has drawn way too many lands for his aggro deck here.
Yes, he has. Pressure Point taps down. The Minister of Inquiries gets to draw a card.
This could be it. A 3-powered creature with no answer will get the job done, and Cedric just finds a land.
Has to pass back. Will we see Sam dig his way out of this again?
He was at 3 the other game.
Electrostatic pummeler. 3 more energy. High spar artisan. Gets a counter.
None of these do particularly well against the ballista charger. They block it, but only once.
Yep. Passes back. Cedric, come on deck.
Oh,
He's got something. Glint sleeve artisan.
that's good enough.
Yeah. Wow, revolutionary rebuff.
Yeah, that
Get some energy.
does get him the energy. That's really the only reason Sam's doing this, because Cedric can simply pay for it.
Yep. It's going to shoot.
And so what happened here, Maria, is he's going to shoot it with the fabricate trigger on the stack, which is going to prevent Cedric from crewing his ballista charger, because he
Wow.
only had 2 power at the time, and you need to pay 3 to crew it.
Wow, great play.
So Sam finding even the smallest edges here using this mediocre counter spell, but he used it in a way to get more counters on the Dynavolt tower
To
and
shoot the
take
artisan.
advantage.
Yeah.
Cedric is like, come on, deck. I don't need much. I mean, basically any creature in Cedric's deck at this point will crew up the charger, and he just
No,
can't find it.
Passes back. Ether trade winds in hand for Sam. Which is pretty important if Cedric's ever able to find a creature to crew that ballista charger. Iron League Steed.
He found something.
There's something.
He's got 10 lands
He's like, may I play this?
in his aggro deck.
Makes a servo. He does haste and fabricate 1.
Yeah, he's also going to be able to shoot the electrostatic pummeler here if you'd like with the ballista charger. It's an interesting choice. There's currently no energy, so
Yeah.
it would just kill it. Though he also could take the line of trying to go upstairs with that.
It's really tempting to shoot the pummeler.
It really is. The question is just if Cedric thinks, okay, fine, I'll just turn this stupid thing sideways 3 times and just kill you whether you block or not, or whether he thinks, okay, I'm going to kill a blocker, you're going to chump block, then you've got 1 blocker left, and that's a quicker route to victory for me.
So Cedric crews up the charger.
This is Ether trade wins from Sam, I'm
Yep.
assuming.
He's going to return that to Cedric's hand.
You know,
And his prophetic prism.
Sam is doing a very, very good job of not dying, but he really needs to find a way to advance this game, because this is all delay.
Yeah, it is.
This is not prevention. He's not killing the ballista charger here. He's just managing to not die, which is, of course, doing okay, but these cards that he's using just aren't getting the job done.
I think he drew his decoction module. Prophetic prism.
Yeah, that's the one he returned to his hand.
There it is.
Yeah, you were right. That's pretty good here. He can start blocking and just returning the creature that blocked to his hand. This is probably going to prompt Cedric to start going upstairs with the charger.
Yeah. Yeah, he returns and replays the pummeler.
In the meantime, he is going to be able to keep Cedric from crewing that thing again.
Shoots down the Iron League Steed.
Forcing Cedric now to find any creature in his deck yet again.
Wow.
This has been an insane game. I couldn't quite see what Cedric drew, but it was a spell.
It was
wasn't a land.
something.
Yeah.
Sam managing not to die for several turns in a row here, but not quite finding a way to win at this point. Spark of Inspiration is the play for Cedric, so he's going to reveal the top card of his library. Built to Last, which gives +2/+2 and indestructible if it's played on an artifact. So he can have it deal the damage, the converted mana cost damage, which is 1.
This is so miserable for
Or he can
Cedric.
play
This
it.
is just desperate.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Spark of Creativity. I just call this card Witness because it reminds me of Mad Max.
So the card that he exiled was Built to Last, doing 1, or he can draw it. Or not draw it, but he can cast it from exile this turn instead.
This card is really interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird little card. Looks like he's not going to do the 1. He's just going to go ahead and use it. This will let him crew up the Charger,
Yep.
assuming that this resolves, which it did.
All right. Looks like he's going to crew. Yeah, Sam, unable to permanently deal with that Ballista Charger, is really hampering him in this game.
Yeah, this is an interesting decision for Cedric. He can shoot the Pummeler and probably kill it, or he can go and shoot Sam because, again, you know, Sam with this decoction module has the ability to block the Charger repeatedly.
Right.
This does effectively kill 2 of Sam's creatures, leaving him with just the High Spire Artisan, which could leave Cedric in a better position to maybe attack with other creatures as well. So I like this. I like this play from Cedric.
He does shoot the Pummeler.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's just basically saying, okay, I'm going to be able to crew my Charger for 3 turns in a row and just kill you that way, whether you block or not. But this really forces the issue here on Sam Black. I like that play. By the way, are we in extra turns?
That's what it looks like.
We haven't been told that, but I see that there's a die in the middle of the field here, Maria, and they ticked it up when it went over to Sam's turn. I'm going to assume that we are.
Well, he returned the High Spire Artisan to make a servo and pass the turn back.
I'm going to go ahead and say yes,
Yep.
by the way.
Ticked up to 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what does that mean here?
Yeah. Cedric's really got to push through that final damage.
And even if he does, it's just a draw.
Yep. Never something you want to happen. Welding Sparks on the High Spire Artisan.
Yeah, it's going to do 6 damage here, so plenty enough to kill it. But wait, there's more.
Revoke privileges on a servo.
We knew he had something in his hand the whole
Yeah.
time.
Just attack.
Get into 1.
Oh,
Now all he needs to do is turn those things sideways or get that Charger crewed up on his 5th and final turn, and he will earn the tie here.
Wild Wanderer is the play from Sam.
Well, this is going to set up a pretty sweet top deck situation here for Cedric, Maria,
Yes, it is.
because Sam is going to be able to use the decoction module to get up to 5 energy here. And that means that his Dynavolt Tower will be online. And he can kill one of the servos and have a blocker for the other one, meaning that Cedric must find a 2-powered creature to get that Ballista Charger
There he
online
goes. He shoots down a servo.
and turn it sideways just the once.
Wow.
How insane is this?
Turn 5.
Any creature from Cedric. I mean, if he's got a 1-powered creature, that would be the biggest dagger. I don't
Yeah,
know
it
if he
would.
does, but also a removal spell should get the job done as well if he can kill the Wild Wanderer and just send in that with that servo. So here we go.
tension is real.
Oh, here we go.
Untaps.
God, Cedric, come on,
Don't
man.
slow roll this, Cedric.
Just having a little chat with his opponent. Oh, Cedric, you monster.
How could you? Counting his lands, yeah.
He's literally telling him how many outs he has left. Oh, man. Cedric definitely has a flair for the dramatic, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Are you the kind of person who can do the math on how many outs you have left?
Yeah, I can. I have to know my deck, though, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm too enthralled with the situation to scour through Cedric's deck list and find the outs.
Okay, so he's not in fact just slow rolling us to torture us all. They're paused because he's getting clarification on how much time was passed before time was called in the round. Yeah, they want to
So
make
we're
sure.
all being slow rolled.
Yes, we are. It is really important in this situation. Because if they have more turns in them, it looks pretty bad for Sam. But fantastic games we've seen so far from
Totally.
these two. All right, we're going to hear from Rich, who's backstage here at Atlanta, to find out a little bit more about what's going on in this current match.
Hi there, it's Rich Hagan here. Just giving you some information about what's actually going on down there. So basically what happened is the feature matches run on a different clock to the main event, and they're roughly 4 minutes behind on this particular occasion. It varies round to round as we start the round. Unfortunately, time was called on this match that you're watching now when there were in fact still 4 minutes of the match remaining, because someone took the clock that was in the room rather than the clock that was for the feature matches. So as a result, the match you're watching has been playing out quote-unquote extra turns, whilst in theory there were still minutes to go. So right now, Riccardo Tessitore from Italy, one of our Burgundy judges, is over in the feature match area trying to resolve this. We don't know exactly how they're going to rule on this, what they're going to do, whether they'll continue to play out turn 4 and 5, or whether they will attempt to reset. But that is what's going on, and rather than have Maria and Marshall just try to speculate and get a sense of what's happening, that just having talked to Riccardo Tessitore, that is the situation right now. That's what they're trying to resolve.
Was a propeller pioneer. Thank you, Rich. Let's see if we can figure out what happened. There's a handshake.
Yeah, so we know exactly what happened. He did it.
He did it. Got it.
He
Didn't
drew
matter.
the propeller
Didn't matter.
pioneer and was able to get the draw.
Yeah. In the end, that's what he needed. It was kind of a little bit of a dramatic flair at the end,
God,
letting
I'm
Sam
super
look at
bummed
it
we don't
first.
get a game 3 though.
No, I know.
Like
so
you and
am
I kind of set this thing up, and we got lucky and got the matchup between these two awesome players. And then we even got to see both of them kind of do their thing, even though Sam almost stabilized that one. He wasn't able to. And I wanted to see game 3.
Well, I mean, if we got to see two great games regardless. Too bad it ends in a tie, but that's going to do it for round 10 here at GP Atlanta.
Up your game with Ultra Pro Magic the Gathering accessories. Find the best magic art on card sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, and more. Visit ultrapro.com to learn more and find a retailer near you.
Support your local game store by going to Friday Night Magic. Have fun hanging out with friends, cracking new magic packs, and playing with your favorite Kaladesh cards. Featuring devious gremlins, ingenious dwarves, and face-smashing gearhulks.